Good morning and welcome. My name is Michele Jutrisa and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stamping Up here in New South Wales, Australia. Today we're going to do a little bit of scrapbooking, but we're not going to be working on what I have been working on over the last few weeks. I'm still about using up my stash because I have been looking for these photos. This seems to be a common occurrence. Excuse me, I've still got my my cough. This seems to be a common occurrence with me at the moment. I keep losing my photos. I've actually got my photos all organised in boxes and dated and everything, but I just knew I had some beautiful photos that I had taken of my two older boys in scouting many years ago at Bundanoon, and I had purchased and everything the designer series paper and everything a couple of years ago that I wanted to use, but do you think I could find the photos when I had them? But recently I have found them, and that's where I found all the photos that I had been looking for over the last couple of weeks, and they were all together somewhere safe, but as everywhere, somewhere safe is something easy can be lost. So I'm going to be using some products which are already deleted. They're no longer available. I'm not quite sure whether they're on the last chance or not. You can always check it out. This is very much a boy layout, and it is very much an outdoor camping layout. But though they weren't going camping, they were just going for a bushwalk. It was taken back in 2004, I think it was. So my sons were only about excuse me, sorry, about 9 and 10, I think they were, or 8 and 9. So let's get started, and let me just turn my camera down. Now please jump on, say hello, let us know where you're from. It's always great to welcome new people. Now I may just need to take this out a little bit. Let's just see if I can shrink this in a little bit there. Might just straighten my camera up a little bit. There we go. Please excuse me my cough. If it gets too bad, I will have to run out and get a drink of water. Oh, I am losing my voice though. Unfortunately, they've told me that I've definitely got asthma, and the medication for the asthma causes me to lose my voice. So let me just grab the designer series papers so I can show you what I am using. And this was a product suite called Weekend Adventures, and it also came in a scrapbooking workshop as well, so you may even have some of this, but it had this lovely paper here, and it was one of the ones, I just got the paper and sticker pack, and it had 3 of each sheet, I think it was. So there's this one here, which I thought was really great for the scouting and bushwalking and so forth, or anything out in the bush. You do have bear prints. We don't have bears unless you want to include our koala bears here in Australia. But I thought the compass was very relevant, and the footprints were very relevant as well. And then on the reverse side, you have got this blue, which is very much like camping plates and cups and things like that. Then you've got this one here, which has the acorns and everything on it, and on the reverse side you've got these lovely trees. So this is one of the prints I'm using. So the 2 prints I'll be using today are these 2 here, and I'm only just sticking to the 2 prints. Then you have this plaid as well. This didn't work into my theme, and it was too busy to add a bit more of that in there, so I'm leaving this one out. But it has got the lovely black and white, or even, may not even be quite black, it might be more early espresso and basic beige or very vanilla stripe in it, which I think could come in handy. So now that I've found my photos and I've worked out what I'm going to be doing, I probably will be doing some more with these once I pull out all my other photos I have got. I've done quite a few of the scouting photos of late, but I still have a lot more to do because I was also in Scouts and as a leader, and have got lots of photos to do of me and what I did. Now, this also came with a sticker sheet. And, of course, in the workshop, you had a die-cut sheet. I've already taken some of the pieces out of my sticker sheet, as you can see. So I've taken these pieces here out, which I'm going to be using. But what I've done to some of these is I've actually removed the sticky from the back with my embossing pillow. Okay, so just so then I can work out where I'm going to place some of these. So let's get started. I've done a lot of pre-cut and so forth with this, so we don't have as much to do. So what I do want to do is first off stamp my title. Now, this also came with a coordinating stamp set, and if I can just find it here in front of me. No, it's just over here to the side. So this is the coordinating stamp set that came with this particular one, and I've kept this one as just the fact that, again, it's a great outdoor weekend adventure, as the title there says, and I'm going to be using Adventure Starts Here. Could also use, things to do and places to see, taking the scenic route, because the boys were in Bundanoon, and the photos that I've taken are ones that I took just prior to the rest of the cub group arriving, and there was just my boys and a couple of the other boys there and I just took some snaps of my boys, and they turned out beautifully. So that's why I sort of wanted to scrapbook these. So what I've got here is a piece of basic beige, because one of the colours that goes with this suite is basic beige. So instead of using a lot of white, I'm just using my basic beige. So I'm going to pop this onto my positioning tool here, because I do want to get a really nice stamped image on here, and I've got a piece of the paper, the scrap paper that goes with the positioning tool. Great tool if you're looking for something to get your images stamped nicely. So I'm just going to take this off, and this hasn't been used. I mean, it's probably getting close on to 2 years old, this stamp set. This is probably the first time it's been inked, but I have just been keeping it until I found those photos. Oops, just be very careful taking it off. You don't want to stretch it. And I'm just going to position that right there and pop my plate on. Now, I have already pre-cut a lot of my cardstock that I'm going to use, and I will draw up a layout of what I'm using. I did look everywhere for someone else's layout that I can use, and in the end I thought, no, I know where I want my photos to be, I know what papers I want to use, so we're going to do this ourselves. So I've now positioned this onto there. I've just got a little X on there just so I knew, because this is the two-tone cardstock I'm using, so one side's darker, one side's lighter, and I do want to use the darker of the sides. I'm going to move that up there just to give it a little bit more hold. And this is a fantastic positioning tool, because it means I can ink this up, pop it where I think it needs to go. I've just got something on there. Just needs a bit of a clean, and I can ink this up a few times. Now I'm going to be using Early Espresso to stamp this. Oh, good thing I found that. I'll be looking for that everywhere. It's just a little splatter that came from this stamp set that I want to use also on here. So I'm going to ink this up. We're going to position this over the top. Now, while this is sitting here like that, the ink is not touching my cardstock. Okay, it's not until I push it down in the two little feet here and the two little feet that's coming up the opposite. These ones go down, these ones here go up. There's little springs in there, so until I press down, that is not touching, so I can make sure that everything is where I want it to be and then press down. Hello Annette, how are you? And I'm just going to give that a really nice firm press. I want that ink to really hit that paper and absorb. So I'm just going to very carefully, and I might just, because I can just feel that's a little bit sticky in there, and I'm just going to pop that, my ruler in there just to hold that down a little bit so it doesn't move. And I want to ink that up again because I do want that to be nice and solid in colour. So I hope you're having a lovely day, Annette. Now I do have ink there on my plate. I'm not going to worry about that because, as I said before, my plate won't touch my paper. And then once I've got that lined up, I can press that down again. And I can do this a few times until I'm happy with the coverage in there. Now I'm just going to pop that underneath there again because my stamp is just that little bit sticky. And I'm actually quite happy with that now. So I'm going to leave that at that. And I'm just going to very quickly grab my chamois here and give this a wipe off because I don't want to get my fingers, all of that. Off to work. Well, I hope you have a good day at work, Annette. Thank you very much for jumping on and saying hello. Okay. So give that a good wipe. And I'll pop that to one side and I'll come back to that later on to give it a thorough good clean. Just pop that chamois right in there. Okay, now I do have a cloth here that I can just give that a little bit of a wipe. And I'm just going to pop that to one side over there out of our road. Oops, it doesn't want to sit there, so let me just pop it here in there instead. Okay, let's remove this. And I don't need this anymore, so I'm going to pop this aside for the moment. Okay, let's just close this up so I don't put my fingers in it. And we're going to grab our mini cut and emboss, and I am using these dies here. Again, they're a die that's been around for a long time, and these are called the nested essential dies. So with this one here, you get this shape die. I don't even know what you'd call that shape. I think there's 4 of that one, and then you've got the rectangle with the curved corners, and of course your little flag dies. And it's a real handy set to have, and it's still current. Okay, so we need our plates. I put them all here, I'm sure. So they should be all close by to me. There they are. Got a little spot right here in front of me where I'm just putting everything, and it was hiding in amongst there. So let's pop our sandwich together. And I'm just going to pop that onto there. About top one on top. And run that through our cut and emboss machine. So there is our title. Now, let me just pop these away. So I think I've die cut everything now. So what I've also got here, just in my little tray, I've pulled out some of the stickers, and I've removed the backing off them. Now, whether I use all of these, I don't know, but the only one I haven't removed the backing off is this one here. Now, this has got, it's pecan pie, and it's very vanilla in the middle. So what I've done is I've cut a piece of basic beige, and I've in the two-tone, and I've cut it at 5 5/8, and that is just going to go over the top of that so I can do my journaling on there. Okay, I just thought that that toned in better with this rather than adding another colour with the very vanilla, because I haven't used very vanilla in this layout at all. Now, I've also cut this one here in white, but I've cut it also in my basic beige, because again, I was sort of thinking of using white, but I just think that that's just going to be too stark. There is a little bit of white in the designer series paper, but again, I think the basic beige blends with this, so I can have this in 3 places. I've just done a couple of extra ones just in case, and because there's the die, so we'll take that die out. Now, this is also, these trees here are also from an old die set, and this one is from Scenic Adventure Dies. I've just got the dies because I wanted these trees, because again, I've collected all this up over a period of time so I could do this layout, but I just hadn't been able to find the photos. So now we've got all of that, we can get this all started. So there's all our little bits and pieces. So I've cut out these in old olive, and I've done some in the light side of the old olive. Okay, this is the two-tone cardstock, and I've done some in the dark side of old olive, and that's just so then we can have a little bit of texture, visual texture in our design. I sort of was trying to work out titles and so forth and pulled out Explore, so we won't be using that, but that's okay. So there's our new title, and there's our bits and pieces. So let's get started on our layout. Now, these are the photos that I've got to use. So I've already trimmed these down a little bit. I've trimmed them down by 1/8 of an inch, so then I could put a border, mount them onto a piece of willow white cardstock, and I've only got then 1/16 of border all the way around, or 1/8 sort of altogether. So these are the willow white pieces I cut at 4x6, and then my photos are just trimmed down that little bit to be a little bit smaller. So I've got 4 4x6s, and I have got 1 4x4. Now, just something to keep an idea, if you're cutting down a photo, what I have got, and I know I've showed these before, I've made up these templates. And what I did with this is to work out whether I wanted to cut this photo down and what size I wanted to cut it down. I used my template, which I've taken a piece of cardstock and cut a 4x4 square out of the middle, or a 10x10, and then layered it over the top and worked out whether it's what I want to be in my photo is going to fit within my image, or whether I need to reprint it maybe slightly smaller. This one here, there was nothing much at the bottom and a little bit of darkness at the top, so I could easily cut that down to my 4x4 and it still looked okay. So having something like this is quite handy, because then you can actually see what's going to be in your photo before you cut. And I've made them at all different sizes, so then you know, I've got here one at 3 inch by 3 inch, and then I've got more card sort of sizing as well, so I can work out where I want things to be cut. So just great templates to have, and I'll just keep those on hand so I can grab them when I need them to do that. So they're my photos, and they're already all pre-matted, and as I said, I've matted them on Willow White. So let's just grab our, let's move that stamp over there, pop our photos there. So let's just grab our basic white and let's have a look what I've got here. So I've got two pieces, not basic white, two pieces of basic beige cardstock. Now, as I said, you could put white with this. This here does have a little bit of white splatter all over it, but I decided that no, I didn't want to do that. I want to keep it all fairly neutral, keeping those really earthy tones, because this is a an outdoor scene, and I wanted my photos to pop when I put them on there with that little bit of a white border. And that's another reason why I kept my border very fine, because I didn't want too much white being on there. So my layout idea for this is, if I just move all of this across a little bit, and I may have to bring in each page. Now I've got two pieces of the green designer series paper, and they're cut at 9 inches square, and I've cut those already, and I've already inked around my edges. Then I've cut two strips to go across the bottom, and they're cut at about 1.5 inch by 12. Now I may cut this down yet. I'm sort of not quite sure. I don't want it to go right to the edge, but I may flag these edges in here, so I might just as yet cut a flag piece out of that one, and then this one up here is 1/2 inch by my 9, so I just wanted that to frame that little piece there. The way I'm thinking these photos are going to lay out is, on this side here, I'm going to have a photo there at the top of both my sons with one of their friends in cubs. Then my son here looking at the tree, and there he is sort of playing in the sand or playing in the dirt on the road a little bit. And then I'm going to have my journaling happening here. On this page over here, and we're keeping this fairly simple, I'm going to have both of these photos like so. Again, keeping the same sort of format with that strip at the top and this one here at the bottom. So let's just start with our left-hand side first, because the size of the photos and where I've got my placement of my photos really determined the width I wanted of this green piece here. I want them both to be the same on both sides. Let's see if I can actually bring this out a little bit more, just so then you can see that maybe a little bit more bit there. So that's come down a bit. So it's trying to find that nice, whoops, you don't need to see me. If I go out too much, then I lose too much camera. Just getting this right can be a little bit tricky sometimes. Okay, I'm sorry about that. You are losing a little bit of the top there a little bit. But what I'm saying is that these two photos, because they take up more height here, really determined how much cardstock I actually needed in this green section. So that's why I went to the 9 by 9. This side didn't matter so much because I've got a lot of room top and bottom. But I am thinking to actually bring this one down and this one up, because when it comes to doing some embellishments, I want to have 3. So I'm going to have one over on this side, one up here, and one down here. So my eye is drawn across the page. Okay, so let's start with this one here. And as I said, I'm still trying to decide yet where I'm going to flag this. So this piece I'm just laying it there just for to make sure that I've got everything where I want it to be. And let's just remove these photos for now. We don't need them on there. And I'm going to do this one first, because once I've got this green piece down, then I can marry up. So I'm going to use the grid on my glass mat here to help me. I'm working in inches, so this is going to be a little bit interesting because my glass mat is in centimetres. So what I want to have, and I'm just going to use, I'm lining up this bottom piece first. I want to have a little bit more room probably at my bottom and a little bit less at my top. So I am going to take that up to around about, it's 1.5 centimetres, but that is, let me just move this over a little bit so I can line it up properly. It is around about 5/8 of an inch up from the bottom, and then that is going to put this piece here at about 5.5, and then a smaller bit at the top and less room at the top. And that's because visually I don't want this to look like everything's falling off the page. I like to have a little bit more at the bottom, and that's why I've got this piece at 1.5 and my strip at the top only at 1/2, because it's giving it a really good solid grounding. So as I said, I'm going to adhere this down at about, it's just under 5.5 centimetres. So let's pop some adhesive on here. Now, as I said, I have already gone around this and I have already inked around 3 sides. Making sure my trees are up the right way. Again, pop this onto my glass mat. Position this one where I want it to be. Just making sure that that's straight, even though it's not glued down. And then this piece here, butting it up to that side edge, and that can go on there. So once I've got that piece down, it's going to make it a lot easier then to grab the other side and adhere this piece down to match. So all I'm going to do here, just going to remove these so they're not in my road, because I'm more interested in butting these two together. Sometimes I wish my mat was a lot wider. Now popping some adhesive on the back of this as well. Making sure my trees are up the right way. Let's butt these two together. and butt that together. Now I haven't pushed that down properly as yet because I just want to double check. I'm at 2 1/8 there and 2 1/8 there, so that's great. So they're my main pieces down. Hello Michele, how are you? Yes, it is good to see another Aussies on here, isn't it? Okay, so now we've got these little half-inch strips which are going to go across the top. So let's just add a little bit of adhesive to this. I'm just going to add a few places right across. So where are you from, Riley? And we'll pop that just right across the top there. So that's just going to give us that little border on that one, and we're going to do the same thing on this. So again, just taking that right across the top. So we've got our 2 borders there across our page. So now we have these pieces here. Now these are the ones I'm going to decide on where I want these to finish. Now I could finish them off flush there, or I could take them a little bit wider and do a flag on each end. So that's what I've got to decide next, because I just think they look a little bit funny just heading off to the side. So like to no man's land. So let's have a look. Got my paper snips here. If I flag these, I think I might take them from take off. Where's my ruler? I might take off about 2 inches or 5 centimeters off each end of that. So let's grab my little trimmer here, and what I want to do is take off 5 centimeters. I'm actually going to take it off the center because I inked these parts here and then realized, oh, I shouldn't have done that. So we're going to take it off of there. So that's going to be for that one. And then I'm going to take 5 centimeters off this one, or 2 inches. And now we're going to flag these. Let's see if I can flag them well. So one way of doing that is just very lightly, because I don't want to crease my paper, just pinching it into that, just the end there. Trying to get that nice and square. Just pinching that end, and I'm just going to use my paper snips here just to angle that in about that much. So I think that should give me a nice little end there. And then I've got my Early Espresso ink here, and I'm just going to give those edges there, and I might just trim this just a little bit more because it's not quite. Whoops, I knew that would happen. I wouldn't quite get it nice and straight. That will do. Okay, so let's just put a little bit of ink on those corners there, and then I'm going to use this little piece that I've cut off here. I'm going to use that to create my flag on the other side. So just hold that there, and it's just a matter of then of copying those cuts. There we go. Then again, we're just going to ink up these edges a little bit. And now we can adhere these pieces down. Close that properly on here. Now, I just have to make sure I've got this going the right way around. That's that piece, and that's this one here. So let's just add some seal on here. And butt that right up to there, and that'll give us that piece there. And then we'll do the same with this one. Just take this, butt that up to there. And that's our bases for our layout. So the next thing I want to do, I'm just going to play with this a little bit more again. I'm sorry. I don't know why it does that. I'll have to play with this one day and try to work it all out properly. Okay, so let's put our photos down since we now know where all that's going to go. And I'm going to again start on my left-hand side, and I'm popping that one up there because, as I said before, this one side here is determining where everything else is going to fit, and then that one's going to go across there like that. I tend to be very symmetrical, so you'll find a lot of my layouts are the bases are going to be quite symmetrical. I find it very hard actually to do things a bit lopsided, but it's something you can learn to do. So let's start with this piece at the top. So I'm just going to use the pattern on my paper as a guide and lining that up. That's going to fit just there. Don't need to put too much adhesive on here. You just want it to know it's going to stick and not move. And then I'm just going to layer this one on the bottom. Actually, I might just need to move this one up a little bit. So let's just lift that up a little bit. Shouldn't have adhered too badly as yet. So just going to move it up about that much. Okay, so watching from Adelaide, Rosemary, thank you for joining. And then this one here, we're going to pop this one about there. Again, I'm following my same rule of thumb where I have a little bit more width at the bottom than I do at the top, okay, because I just don't want this all to look like it's falling down. And then this photo at the top here is going to be lined up with the others. Now you can use a T ruler for doing this or just a regular ruler. If I grab my T ruler, pop that onto here to line up. I've got it flat, it might work. Got that one lined up there, and then I'm going to take this one here and I'm going to line that one up at about there. So I'm happy with that. So let's do the other side. Hello, Deborah, how are you? So now we've got this side here. So we're going to pop this photo down a little bit and this photo up. Now I do want a similar sort of height at the bottom here. So I'm just going to measure this, and I've got it around about 1 centimetre. So which is 3/8 of an inch. So I'm going to pop some adhesive on the back of this one. I'll lay it down first. And I do want to try to keep this at that 1 centimetre mark, because I want it to be fairly equal to the other one. So I'm just going to turn this on its side so I can sort of measure that and make sure I haven't pushed anything down as yet, so I can still tap this down a little bit. And the other one from the side, I've got a similar sort of distance here on the side here, so around about that centimetre. Could probably actually come in just a little bit more, about there, and I think that's going to be right. Now this one here, I'm going to do the same again. I want a little bit, about a centimetre there, and again I just want this one not as quite as tall at the top. Actually, I'll probably go that one a bit higher, because that one there is going to match up with this. So I can just sort of see here, I've got that at about a quarter of an inch. So let's pop some adhesive on the back of this one. You can just eyeball all of this if you want to. Generally, that's what I do. So I eyeball it, because I think that's about, yeah, that's about right there. So that's going to create for me those 3 areas that I want to. So I've got one down here, one up here, and another one down here, which is going to create 3 areas to put my embellishments. Now, excuse me, let's have a look at our embellishments, and I'm going to start with this one first. So I've got my little splatter stamp just there. I might pop it on a block. I haven't worked out as yet what colour I want to do it. I'm thinking probably pecan pie or crumb cake. I don't want to do it early espresso. I think that's going to be way too dark. Just excuse me for a moment. Just going to blow the old nose. Won't be a second. Sorry about this. Okay. Unfortunately, yesterday I think I got a little bit too cold. So let's have a quick look at where I want things to go. Now, this one here, which is one of the stickers, and I've just taken the adhesive off the back. I want it to go onto this page here, and I'm probably going to slip it underneath. So I'm going to leave that one there for the moment, because I do want to concentrate on this one. So I've got my journaling box here. Now this is a sticker, and I haven't removed the stickiness off here, but as I said, that's very vanilla in there. So I want to cover that up with a piece of the basic beige, and I want to use the same colour, the dark side rather than the light side. So I'm going to pop a little bit of adhesive on here, and I will handwrite my journaling later. So that's going to go on top of that, just to remove that yellowness of the very vanilla, and that's going to go in there somewhere. Now, let's bring this back in. Now, I was thinking of adding, now this is why I've cut 2 of these, because I don't know which one of these I want to use. Of adding one of these. Now I may go around and ink the edges on that because it is blending a little bit into our background there. I haven't stuck that down yet, but I've got these trees. And this is where I was sort of contemplating having this in the white. This is a much bigger one, but I think the white's just going to be maybe a little bit too stark. I did go around the edges in that with the early espresso, and I want to add these trees onto here. But I'm thinking of adding also, just to break up some of this same tone on tone, and this is where I want to put some of these splatters. So I've got a scrap here of my basic beige, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab pecan pie. So we'll try it first, and let's just pop a few splatters on here and just see how this is going to work. Make sure when you're doing your splatters, turn it around a little bit, and having that onto there may just tend to break up a little bit the tone on tone. And I also may go around, I'm going to continue those splatters up here a bit, but I may also go around with a little bit of either the crumb cake or pecan pie and put a little bit of inking around those edges. We'll have a look. But I was also thinking too, where's my sticker sheets? Here. Having that there, and then playing with the word either time to play or time for adventure. I just don't want to put, they're both on, adventure's on green, which is going to blend in with the trees. Time for adventure is in the pecan pie, which is also going to blend in. What else have we got? I did contemplate that one, but again, that's got a lot of very vanilla in it. Don't want camping life because it's not camping. Could actually use time to play, have that going, and that's just bringing in another colour. And we've got a little bit of that colour in our border strip down here, so that still could look okay. What else have we got here? Group photos not going to be any good. Do like adventure, but it's just too green. Camping life, well, they're not exactly camping. Could use exciting day. Let's just have a quick look. It's a much smaller one. I think actually I'm liking time to play a bit. So if we pop that one, a few splatters in around there, and I think I will definitely ink up the edges on that. And then a time to play. It's just adding another pop of colour on there. So you're saying time for adventure. Yeah, the only problem I have with that, this one, it's that little one there. Just having a look at the stamp set, see what's in there. I just like the idea of just using up some of these stickers. I think I'm going to stick with Time to Play. I think that could work out quite well. I might just take the backing off that. But let's just ink this up. But let's just have a quick look at... Let's grab a dauber from in here. Whether I'm going to use crumb cake, because I don't want to have it too dark. So we could have that with crumb cake all around it, or we've got the pecan pie, which is going to be the same colour as the splatters. Probably the pecan pie, I think. I think the crumb cake might be a little bit too light. Okay. And I think I'm going to use the smaller one rather than the bigger one. So let's just go around and just add a little bit of edging to this, just so it's going to stand out a little bit. Now the splatters. So let's just pop a trees there so we can see where they're going to be. So we probably want some about there. Some about there. I definitely want some coming out down around here. Just pressing quite lightly because I don't really want to have too many going in here. I just think I need to fill in that little hole there. Okay, so let's have a look. So we're going to pop this one here about there. So I've got to take the back off that yet, and then our trees, and I think that's going to look okay like that. Okay, so that's starting to look quite good. We can always add a little bit more, but let's adhere this down so we can get a true idea of the size. So we'll remove the backing of that. Now I can bring it, keep it the same sort of level as all of those. That would go into there. And that I just want to tuck in probably to there. Let's just pop a bit of adhesive on the back of that one. Probably could have got away with using the bigger one. Let's just have a quick look. I might go with the bigger one, so it means I've just got to ink around the edges of this one. Good thing I'd cut two. So I'll just pop that to over one side for the moment. Let's pop a bit of adhesive on here. I just want to tuck that in underneath there a little bit. Bring that in just like that. Then with our trees, we're going to pop one about there. That's my darker one, and then my lighter one I'm going to have coming from underneath that banner there. So I want those to sit up a little bit. Okay, so let's pop these on first. And I'm just going to use my seal for this. So that one's going to sit underneath there, just like that. I might just pop while I can. A few more splatters just there. Then this one here. Just going to tuck that underneath there a little bit. And I do have in my little box of tricks here another little tree. We could put that one just there, but I might use the glue for that. Now, of course, if I wanted to, I could have even brushed on a little bit of the pecan pie onto my trees to give it a bit more depth, but I think using the dark and light is fine. And I've put my dark ones to the back and then my light ones to the front. I think I might pop that one just about there. And then our time to play. I want it to go across there like that. So that's one section. So all I've got now to add is some journaling into there, and I might come back and put some more embellishments on this one in a minute if I feel it needs to. So let's move on to our right hand page and let's work out where this is going to go. So I've got that one there. Now I've also got this one here, which I've already put adhesive on if we wanted to add a bit of that, but I don't think I do. I think I want that one there, and I do want to add some trees onto this, so I want to add, now whether I think I'm going to go underneath. We could have those trees going up a little bit higher. So let's just lay these out and see what we come up with. We bring that down a bit so you can see what I'm doing. And then we have this one here. Now the only problem is these trees look like they're sitting into nowhere. So let's just go back to our stickers and let's see if what we've got, because we've used a little bit of that terracotta. So we could actually use here. This is with very vanilla, but just for that little bit there, we could tuck that in underneath that photo. But it might be a little bit too very vanilla. Let's have a look. what else we've got. I'm even thinking that could go down a little bit, maybe a little bit further. I like the shoes on there, but we don't need all of them. That could come out to there. I think that needs to go behind. That would bring that down a little bit, and we only have that little bit sticking out. Sort of like the trees are getting a little bit lost in there, isn't it? Trying to think what else we could. And we could not use that and just bring this. Whoops, I didn't want that to stick down there. Let me just remove some of that adhesive off the back of that. And always put that adhesive back down again in a minute. That's where these embossing buddies can come really helpful. So we could follow the same as we had before. Pop that one into there. And that's going to follow the same line as this one. We could pop that up there for the moment. Then again, we could find something to go onto there. Now, this is where I could add a little bit more brown because I don't have a lot of brown in there. So it's time for adventure. Could actually go in there and look quite good. I think I like that. Okay. So let's adhere that down. I'm actually quite happy I've changed that to that piece there. The only problem is my trees are a little bit might just add a little bit of brown to those trees. I'll have to go back and see if I can do that to the others. Just around those branches. It's not actually a brown, I'm using the pecan pie. That's that one. And this is going to give that little bit more definition to those green on green, because it is old olive on old olive. Let's see if I can just lift these a little bit. Just sort of going around. Using the tip of my dauber just to add some brown onto those tips there. Won't match as well as the other one, but at least it will blend in a little bit more. Even this little one here, I can just and let's see if I can just put a little bit onto these edges down here. Let's see if I can just flick these up a little bit. Throw that underneath there. There's always a way to work around things. You just got to play a little bit. That looks better. Okay. So now we've married all of those up. Let's adhere these down. So we're going to put the darker ones there at the back. Yeah, I could add some splatters. Where are you thinking of the splatters, Deborah? Because that's going to go there, and then this one's going to go on top. And then by the time I put the sticker on there, I suppose you could put some splatters up around here, couldn't we? Let's have a look. Let's add splatters where we're not going to see them too much first. So we can add them down in there. No, I don't think I like the splatters. I'm sorry. I'm going to leave splatters off on this one. I'm going to put splatters down here. So I've just got my dark one here. Pop that one there. Push that one maybe a bit more underneath. Whoops, I want to cover those splatters a little bit. That's better. And time for adventure. Go about there. Now the only thing I haven't added onto that one is maybe a little tree. This is in the darker. Let's just add a little bit of brown to the edges. That one. And we're just going to fill in that hole just there. Okay. So far, so good. I mean, I don't mind that tone on tone there. I mean, because we have added a bit of the pecan pie around the edges, it just lifts it a little bit, but it also blends in as well. So now we've got our section down here. So we've got our title there. So the title might go up on, we need to ink around that first, just so then it blends in with all the others. And the title I'm going to pop up onto dimensionals. And we are going to add a few splatters around this. So let's just pop some dimensionals on the back of here first. I am putting them more towards the center, and that's just going to allow me to pop a few things in and around it. I'm not sticking that down just as yet. So that's going to go about there. Let's grab our splatters again. And again, I'm just going to add a few around here. Just turning my block around, fitting it all in. not pushing down too hard. Just going to fill in that little area there just in case it's going to get seen. I might just bring those splatters down this way a little bit more. And I think I want to go a little bit higher here because I am going to add some trees in there as well. I think that's enough. Don't want to go too overboard. Okay, so that's going to go around about there. Let's have a look at what we've got here with our trees. So we can add some there. Again, what I might do is while I've got that ink pad, and is we'll add this around our edges of our trees now. So we can pop that there. Let's have a look. We've got another dark one, so that's a dark one there. I've got another dark one here. I want to put quite a few more into this one. Got a lighter one. So at the moment, I'm just sort of playing where these are all going to sit. Might help if I took the dauber off my finger. Now, I do have, that's sort of bringing in a second let's just have a look and to see, do we need to put got to ink around that as yet. Let's just put some on that. Do I want that there or not? Again, let's just have a quick look on here, see if there's anything else that we can use. Got a lot of blank space up there, that's my only thing, but then I can bring my splatters up a bit more. There is this green tag here. It has got a little, there's my pokey tool. Scissors will do. I'm going to put my hand in this ink in a minute. Let's just move that out of the road. I have got some linen thread with me here too, so I can always add, sort of thinking of adding a bit more. Now that's not pushed down at the moment, that's just sort of sitting there. We've got this one over here in, because we've got the terracotta on the other page, we don't have any on this page, so we could bring that to there. Mugs don't really go. The wording is too big. Better together doesn't fit. Love doesn't fit. Hearts don't fit. Don't want to bring any plaids in because we haven't got them anywhere. Don't have any blue anywhere. Group photo doesn't fit. Camping doesn't fit. Could use that word exciting day. She don't mind that. That's sort of, and I might do some more splatters leading up to that. And let's grab our linen thread. Just cut a little bit of linen thread there, but still more than what I need. I can easily trim this down. So let's see if I can just poke this through before I've pushed this in. Still don't know about this one. So let's just trim those off because they can just go there. Quite like that. May even see if I can move this a little bit because we could just tuck that underneath or trim that part off. Don't know whether I need it like a speech bubble. Push that down. Might just add a few more splatters coming. Don't need many, just a few more. Just coming up this way. Make sure that looks more intentional rather than, and then maybe a couple up around this. Let's just see if I can get some in underneath there. all around it. Just a couple, not much. I feel like I've gone a little bit overboard with the splatters a bit, but let's pop some of these down, and then we can sort of start really seeing what we've got. Okay. That there. Trying to pop that down just a little bit so it's sort of like, looks like it's coming down. Then this little fella can come over here. Come on, stay there. Don't want it to cover up my son's hand too much. Now that I don't know whether I want on there or not. I don't know whether I need any more trees. I've got quite a bit happening. Do we need more trees? What I could possibly do, let's just have a look. It's not a bow, but just a bit of a do we need that or not? Is it just too much? I need to get rid of some of those. Okay, Deborah, come on. What do you think? You always tell me. Even thinking that if I do this, do this more at an angle, just to add then we'll have to add some of this on the other page as well. Just feel like something needs to go here. What do you think? No more trees? No, I don't think. What about this lot here? Yes, no. Yes, or that one in there or not? It's not glued down yet. Come on, Deborah, I'm looking for your opinion. Do need to add some sort of linen thread over here, I think. We could always just lift this up gently, and I could take the stickiness off that and pop that onto and put dimensionals onto that. No to the tree. Okay, well, let's take it off and let's have a look. We'll put all this together in a sec and we'll... So I'm just going to pop a little bit of seal there. And that can go there. Where's our... Just need, I think, one more dimensional about there. It's a fine line knowing where to keep going and where to stop. But that's just going to add that little bit more into there. The only other thing that I am possibly thinking of adding, so that's now. Let's have a quick look. I'm going to see if I can zoom this out a little bit more. I don't know how this is going to work. So then we can sort of see if we can get the whole... You can see all my mess now. But if I move that over to there and move that one across... Oh, this is... Up, move that up. Let's just move this and just see how... So we're sort of working from here up. So this is where I was thinking this lot of trees here just might have to go into there just to balance that around that a little bit. I think I do like actually putting that there. I'm wondering, and I think I'll stay with the darker one, but I do have to ink around those edges. Just to me, it just seems like it just needs that little bit more. Yeah, and that's where I have issues, I think, too, is knowing where to stop. But I just think that just needs that little Could even come down a bit more to there. And then the other thing we could put on here, I mean, as you all know, I'm not a blingy person, but let's just have a quick look. I don't want anything that's going to be too... There's those ones there, and that's from the Sparkle Dots. Doesn't tell me what colour they are, but that does work. There's the dewdrops. I don't think I want them. I am trying to use up some of my old stuff. So I'm thinking this one here, not the copper, not the gold, but these ones here, these metallic. Let me see if I can get that out. It's like a little flat. I don't know whether that's the right. I don't like adding to anything that's too bulky because it is a scrapbook page. There's some rustic metallic dots as well, different type. No. Just want to add a few. And I don't necessarily want to put on green, I don't think. I think I just want to add... So there's also these ones, and these are flat. These are natural dots. And you've also got the, what would it be? It'd be probably crumb cake in those. Buy all these things and then I never use them. So we've got to use them. These have also got the green dots, but I'd probably... Some of these are coming off. Let me see if I can push that back down. Whoops, just brought another one off. Okay, would you go something... oh, excuse me, sorry. The reason I like these ones, these are flat. These have got a bit of height in them, and so is the other ones. Got some really little ones. I actually think I like those because they've got some really little tiny ones. And I don't think I need anything too big. Okay, pokey tool, where have you gone? There. Natural dots, well, these are the rustic metallic. And I just want to add, just because it's a boy, I don't want anything too glitzy. Let's just add a couple. One. Two, and I want to keep them fairly close. Three. I feel like I need one about there. I've got to make sure I leave room here for my hand to write. One, two, three there. Then on this one here, Add one there. Don't want this to look too much like I've created a fourth cluster. Then we just need a couple over here. Okay, I think that might be all I want. I've only got one up there, but I only just want one, I think. Anyway, I think that's going to be it by the time I add some journaling onto there. But that's my layout there. So let's just have a look at these pages close up. I'm just going to bring this up a little bit. See if I can make this a bit bigger so you can see. Okay, so there we go. That's my layout, and I'll just have to add a little bit of journaling. There's not a lot of journaling. It was just these photos were taken at Bundanoon at the State Forest, so I'll have to find out what it's called, whether it's just called Bundanoon State Forest, but and taken in May of 2004. But having that little bit of the rusty colour, I can't think now what it's called. I'm terrible with names sometimes, up there, and then that little bit down here just sort of adds a bit of a balance. But I'm hoping I've created enough of a visual triangle with this one here as well. See how we go. If I could find something with a little bit more rust in it, I'd probably put it down into there. But I'm actually quite happy with that. And thank you very much, Deborah, for all your help. Sometimes I wish I had someone sitting next to me to give a hand. But anyway, that's something a bit different, but still using up what we have in our stash to complete some pages. It's always good. And as I said before at the beginning, these photos have been lost, and now I've found them. I've actually scanned them now, so they're in my computer if I ever want them again. But because I had the thing is, you know, we take photos, we put them all onto our camera, and then, you know, you can either lose your camera, your camera can crash, you lose all those photos. I actually because I wondered whether these were film photos, and I've discovered no, they probably were digital, because I do have other digital photos from the time. But I had a whole stack of photos on a storage thing, and it got corrupted and I lost a lot of them. So I believe that these photos and probably other ones I took on the day have all been lost, and these were the only ones I actually printed. So it is worthwhile, if you do have your photos on your camera, get them onto your computer, get them onto a hard drive or something. You know, at least put them in 3 places. Usually print them, have them on your phone, and have them in storage, or even cloud storage. And that way, if anything does happen, you've still got them, because there was a whole stack of photos of a couple of years that I've completely lost. And I even was trying to take them off my phone. They were on a storage thing. So it was something that I learnt to have them in at least 3 places. But thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed watching me create a page, a large scrapbook page. A lot of prep and planning has to go into this because it's all live. So I do appreciate you all hanging in for this hour and a half, or a bit over that. But anyway, time to go and enjoy our weekend. So it looks like we've got a nice sunny day outside. The trees aren't moving. The sky is blue. And I'm going to go out and enjoy myself after I've cleaned up my mess. So take care. Thank you again. Thank you for those that jumped on, have never jumped on before, never said hello before. It's always great seeing everybody coming on. So have a lovely, lovely weekend, and we'll see you next Friday at 1 o'clock, and then next Saturday at 10:30. So take care. Have a lovely, lovely weekend, and thank you so